Welcome, this is CES 4854, summer 2012. This is a small tutorial based on tutorial number 2 by Professor Downey. So, some of you may be having trouble doing this tutorial. Some of you may have finished by now. So, I hope that this helps you, and in the future you'll be able to do the rest of the tutorials on your own. After this video, I will be uploading another video for chapter 2, so stay tuned. Alright, so let's do this. So if we look at the tutorial number 2, I'll try to make this a bit bigger. So we didn't do tutorial number 1 from Professor Downey. We did our own tutorial number 1. Now we're going to start doing the tutorials from this side and the homeworks as well. So he asks you to create a project. So let's start with NetBeans. I'm assuming you already have NetBeans installed. I'm also assuming that you have Tomcat running on your computer so you can test it. And then you already have a username and password to log in into the school's Tomcat. So we'll start a new project. File, new project. Here we'll see Java, JavaFX, Java Web, Java EE, and so on. So Java Web, we're going to do web application. If you don't see Java Web and you don't see web application, then probably you don't have the correct NetBeans. You can update NetBeans to get the right options that you need. If you haven't downloaded it yet, remember that you can download Java EE or maybe all. Any of these will have what you need, which includes the Tomcat and includes the Java EE as well. So let's go back to NetBeans. We're going to create a Java web application. So here we choose web application, we click next, and I'm going to call this to web tutorial 2B. So for you, just create tutorial 2. In my particular case, I'm making a difference for the web tutorials that I'm giving you guys and tutorials which are not related to the web, which was the basic tutorial, Java tutorial that I did, and maybe I'll do some more advanced ones later as the class progresses, and I'll see if I see a need for it. And the V is for video, because I already did one to test it before creating this video. We're going to set it as main project. So we give it the name, we leave the defaults there, we click next. I'll make sure here there's Apache Tomcat 7.0. Some of you asked me that when you install the NetBeans, you didn't see Apache installed. Well, the default option is the Glassfish Server Open Source Edition. So you have to select Apache. So here we're gonna click next. At this point, we're not going to select any of this, and we're just going to click finish. So let's take a look at what we have. And by the way, if you want to add plugins, here are the plugins. You have updates, available plugins, installed. Like if you wanted to install JUnit, it's here. You can see everything that is installed. Anyways, here we have web tutorial 2V. We can see that we have already a web INF structure. It's empty. Meta INF. we have an index.jsp, and our source package is empty. We're not going to do anything with the library. We're not going to do it, and here is just a link to some configuration files. So we're not doing anything with this. Now you notice that I don't have anything in the web.inf. So double check if you have the web.xml. If you don't have the web.xml, you're going to click File, New File, and you're going to look for a standard deployment descriptor web.xml. Here we see it. Creates a new web.xml deployment descriptor for web application. Let's click Next. Just finish, and now we'll see a web.inf in here. So I'm not going to do all the steps. I have already prepared some of them just to make this video a little bit shorter and straight to the point. But let's go back to the instructions. So here we have, make sure you have your web.xml. Don't do anything with the web.xml, just leave it like that. We're not doing anything with tutorial 1. So implement the servlet controller. We spoke about this during our last class. You'll see it during the video for chapter 2. So in here it says step-by-step instructions. I'll give the step-by-step instructions in the video. I remember that we're using the second edition, Guide to Web Development with Java. And if you go back to the bottom, you'll see servlet controller, and you have a set of steps. Print them out if you can. That's what I did. So we have to follow those steps in order for us to finish the tutorial. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and create a link on the index.jsp. We're going to build it. We're going to test it in our local computer. And then we're going to go ahead and deploy the Word file. And so here it says deploy a Word file. Shows you how. We'll go back to this later. And submitting homework online. I didn't do it this way. You're welcome to try. I'm going to show you the way that I did it. So let's follow the steps. I lost the NetBeans for a second. Okay, here it is, NetBeans. So the first thing that we need to do is create a package. So we talked about this during our last class as well. So I'm going to create chapter 2, and I'm following the instructions. Chapter 2 dot servlet controller. Click finish. So now we're going to create a class. That's based on step 1.2, new Java class. We're going to call it controller, C uppercase. We're going to go ahead and extend this to HTTP servlet. Now we're going to get an error. I'll right click, says fix import. And of course, I think I'm missing an S. There we go. We're going to go ahead and fix imports. And now we're going to go ahead and override one of the methods. Do you remember which method to override? There's two of them that we could use. We're using the get method, so we're going to do the do get. We're using the post method, we do the do post. So to save some time, I'm going to go ahead and copy what I already did. just the method in itself. So and you can already tell that I have to import some other classes. I'm going to go ahead and import them as well. And I'm missing a bracket. The best way to go about it is for you to write your own code. So we have here the HTTP server request. This is the request. Then we have the response. And then we're just telling that the class can throw servlet exception or IO exception. We're not going to handle any of those exceptions. And we're going to go ahead and add the code. Now, you can go ahead and add the code from the JSP controller. You could also add the code from the book. In chapter 2, which we cover, extensively last time, you'll find it in page 55. It's the actual same code that I'm writing right now. So we're going to type it. String address if request that get parameter process button. So we're asking if it's coming on the query string, it's going to have something, so it's not going to be null. Then the address is going to be equals to the process, the JPEG. No, JPEG. I just did this error before, JSP. Else if request that get parameter. So we're asking for the parameter confirm button. It's not equals to null. So the address here is going to be confirm that JSP. Else, we know we only have 3 buttons on this website, on this page, so the address is going to be equals to edit the JSP. Now, the other 2 lines that we need to add is the request dispatcher. Dispatcher equals to request that get request dispatcher, and we pass the address. So I have to fix the import. So I was missing it. Before we go into the forward, let's go ahead and look into the web here. I like using the Java API docs online. We have here the get request dispatcher. Okay, so here you can go ahead and read returns a request dispatcher object that acts as a wrapper for the resource located at a given path. So a request dispatcher object can be used to forward requests to the resource or to include the resource in a response. The resource can be dynamic or static. Now here's the important thing. The path name specified may be relative, although it cannot extend outside the current servlet context. This means that if the path begins with a slash, meaning root, it is interpreted as a relative to the current context root. And if by any chance you're passing a bad address, this method is going to return null. So we'll do the same thing with forward. It's a good practice to know what you're coding, try to understand a little bit what you just not copy and have no idea what's going on. So we're going to pass request and response. Right, so these are the same objects that were passed here in the beginning. So we receive request and response in the do get. Now in the dispatcher, we're gonna ask for a dispatcher passing the address that we just created, and the dispatcher forward requests a response. It's gonna go ahead and forward the page. So we finish the page, save it. Now, if you continue reading the tutorial, you'll notice that you have to go ahead and do the mapping. We did talk about this in class, 2 different ways to go about it. So we're going to do it in the web XML as the tutorial asks for it. That is step 2 of the tutorial. Now I'm not going to type it again. So I'm going to go ahead and copy, which actually I had copied already from another source that I have. Here we have the servlet name. Let's copy into our web XML here. So I'm going to actually put it right above session config. So we have servlet. You can name it whatever you want. It's first controller. So that's the name. This is the class. Notice that the package, chapter 2, the servlet controller, the controller. Servlet class, the servlet. And then we have the mapping. We're saying that the first controller has this URL mapping. So before we go on, let's make the font bigger for this project here. I thought I did. No, it's already 18. I'm gonna make it 20. Okay, just want to make sure that you can see the big font while you're watching the videos. So we finished the do get. We already mapped it, so we comply with step 2. Step 3 asks us to create a subdirectory on the web pages where we're going to add the process, edit, and confirm the JSP files. So we're going to create a folder. If you don't see folder there, then you can go to other and look for folder. So here we're going to create chapter 2. We did talk about the class about having the same path. You see we have the package chapter 2 servlet controller. We're going to have the same folder, and that's where we're going to add the JSP files. Now we're going to go ahead and add new folder ch chapter 2 ch2 and a subdirectory named servlet controller. And inside of this one we're going to add 3 files. Okay, the 3 files, I will provide the files to you. They're also on the website for the book. You'll find the files. You could edit the ones with the confirm and edit and process for the JSP controller, and then you'll have to modify, as the tutorial says, the action from controller.jsp to just controller, as we went over in class. Let's go ahead and copy these 3 files, which I'll make available to you. I already have them here. Let's copy them. Let's add them here so we can double check. You see the action here, form action controller. So here's expression language. So we have it. So we comply with step 3. It's a very easy tutorial. Now we're going to go ahead and so we comply with step 3. We did the mapping. Now we're going to go ahead and modify the index.jsp. So the JSP says hello world. I'm just going to name it. I'm going to say tutorial 2. I'm going to create a hyperlink. href equals, I'll leave it empty for now, controller, and we're going to go ahead and say chapter 2, servlet controller slash controller. So let's just verify the steps. It says modify the index.jsp file that already exists in the web page folder. So this is the welcome page for the application. This is what we're doing. This is the index.jsp. Modify the page by adding hypertext links. So we're doing it. Use the value from the URL pattern in the web.xml file, but remove the leading slash. Let me make sure with my other index.jsp that I already did and tested. It's the same, so we're okay. And let's go back to index.jsp. Then I'm gonna just add a paragraph. My name is Francisco R. Ortega. So we save this, we comply with step 4. And now we're gonna run the project. Let's see if we have any errors or not. Let's run it. This is the default project, so just pressing play will run. Here it says controller, it goes to the controller. Soccer's my hobby. Yes, it is. I'll just say, call it football in Spanish. Confirm. I'm gonna edit it again and I'll say the real football. Confirm, okay. And then I'm gonna process and I'm done. And something happened here. Let's double check the code. Let's see if our controller is correct. Process confirm. Oh, here was an error. So let's run it and try again. Controller, soccer, confirm, edit, the real football, confirm, process, and we finish. So this is what it requires for you to go ahead and finish tutorial 2, run it on your computer, and now, this is going to be useful for the homework. There's different instructions on how to do it. I'm going to show you one, how to upload this to the school Tomcat. So the first thing we need to do is create the WAR file. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the files here, Web Tutorial V, click Properties. In packaging, you see you have some exclusion list. We're going to remove */*.java, comma. We're going to remove that. We're going to hit OK. We're going to go ahead and build, go to run, clean and build main project, which I think, at least in the Mac, is Shift F11. Now in files, you see we have projects, we have services, where you have your Tomcat. In files, you have your distribution. You'll see you have your WAR file, and here you see chapter 2, you have your web INF, you have your classes, chapter 2 here, and you have your Java and your dot class. So how do we upload this? Well, we go into the NetBeans folder. Here in the Mac, it's right here, but you'll find your NetBeans project folder. So let's look for VideoTutorial2 V, distribution, copy. I'm gonna place this on my CGS 4854. I'm going to send it here. And I'm going to connect to school. I think I'm already connected, but I'll start from the beginning. Just PuTTY. Use any SSH terminal that you have access to. Before that, just to remind you, I was using FileZilla. You have to do SFTP to school. Most people are currently using WinSCP. Whatever program you want to use is fine. Just do SFTP to the school and upload the file. So here we're going to go ahead and log into Ocelot, the AUL, the FIU.edu. So we're gonna go to CGS 4850. We're gonna let's do ls CGS 4854. Here I see I have VideoTutorial2 Now I'm gonna go ahead and rename this file to that zip. You can rename it or just copy it. So I have to go into the directory, copy it, and I'm going to go ahead and unzip this. So why did I just why did I ask you to copy or rename? Is because the unzip command is looking for an extension to be that zip. So VideoTutorial2 v.zip, and we're going to send it to a destination of well, this is under CGS. I'm in my home directory, so then I'll do my subdirectory CGS 4854 / VideoTutorial2 v.zip, and then I'll send it to CGS 4854 / web apps / VideoTutorial v2, and I'll go ahead and unzip this. Now, if I go test it right now, the Tomcat is not going to work, and it has to do with permissions. So set your permissions. Remember 705 to all the directories, and 604 to all the files. Now, to test it, I want to show you another one that it was already uploaded. You go to the mine is student 10. You have to enter your username and password. So here, if I do /web tutorial2, this is the one that I did before I recorded the video. If I do this one, it's going to go into the index.jsp. So then I'm going to click first controller. I see my controller. Let's just test it. It's the same that we tested locally. So I'll say just soccer, and I'll process, and it's processed. So you have to set the permission for your directories to 705, the files to 604. You must do this in order for it to work. So I'll go ahead and upload those files, upload this video, and the next video will be chapter 2, which was already covered in class. Remember that we have a quiz this Tuesday, and tutorial 2 is due soon. Please start working on homework number 2. We'll talk about homework number 2 this coming up Tuesday after the quiz. Well, I hope this helped you, not only for tutorial number 2, but for the rest of the tutorials and the homeworks, in terms of the steps that are required to get this up and running. I'll go ahead and create other videos when we start using Hibernate and anything that I feel that may help you without doing your homework. So please go ahead and do tutorial number 2 and email me if you have any questions. Thank you.